We've discussed many times the concept of where middos plays in our Avodas Hashem, the incredible position that it takes. Somehow, this concept seems to elude us. It doesn't seem to always, take on such a prominent position. We're much more enamored with the actual mitzvah and things that are concrete, and we'll spend much more time maybe spending extra money on a more beautiful mitzvah, which is certainly a wonderful thing, but if it allows us to sort of de-emphasize or somehow not take the proper perspective and position regarding middos, then obviously it's a question of sort of skewed priorities, because it's very nice, but that's a heder. It's a heder mitzvah. This is sort of fundamental to who we are as people. Just another example in this week's parsha. It's incredibly Yosef is in the middle of this incredible nisayon, and Eshes Potiphar is trying to seduce him. She had her own nevuos and her own vision of what needed to be. Obviously, it was wrong. Yosef couldn't do it. Yosef resisted, and that gave him the title of Yosef Tzaddik for all generations. And just 2 points in terms of what motivated Yosef, and how, on the one hand, there's this incredible aver that's looming over his head, and what happens? He runs out, and he runs out in a position where he is left in a very compromised state. He left the garment in her hand. It does not. It's very clear that he left the garment in her hand and did not pull it away. Now, why did he not pull it away? Why did he not simply grab the garment? He'd have a much better chance of convincing the police that showed up as to what really went down if he already wasn't undressed. Seemed to put him in a much more compromised situation. So Ramban amazingly says l'chavad gvirta, that here I cannot. How can I do this if I pull the garment out of her hand? It's a sort of a blatant act of aggression or disrespect. I mean, I'm not touching her per se, but I'm pulling the garment out of her hand. It's a little bit of a strong act, and because Yosef owes honor and respect to Eshes Potiphar. After all, she is the wife of my boss, the wife of the person who I'm working for. As such, she deserves respect. Well, she deserves respect. She's trying to destroy your world. She's trying to bring you down. She's trying to bring you into this terrible avera. You might, assume at that point that maybe respect was not really the first thing on my mind. It's one of my last priorities, isn't it? And apparently, according to Ramban, apparently not. It's just an indication of how far the sensitivities go of how we conduct ourselves. I can't do this. I'd rather run out and put myself in a compromised situation and not have any clothing on outside than to do a blatant act of disrespect, which is it's chisar middos. It's a chisar of my obligation to conduct myself properly vis-a-vis other people. In this particular case, it was, yes, I need to confer honor upon her, but at what expense? We see to what extent this goes. And just the Ramban, the Sephron also points out, really from the pasuk, really, I can't do this. Your husband is so good to me. He's been so kind to me. I owe him akaras hatov and v'chatasi l'lakim. And I'm going to do one of the worst averas, chiyuv misa aveir of gila rayis, which the entire world is commanded upon. And you're putting the two things in the same category, because you owe him akaras hatov. So I can't do this, taking his wife, and you end of v'chatasi l'lakim. I'm going to be over Eshes Ish. I'm going to be over Gila Rayis. How in the world could you put them in the same sentence? And apparently, you see that again. We see this incredible lesson that when we do things that are against the fundamental principles of Beinom L'Chaverei, of how we should be conducting ourselves to other people, and especially people that we owe to, that we've received so much benefit from, it puts that literally at the highest echelon. It was a factor in Yosef's thinking. If he can put it together with Chatasi L'Lakim, if he can put it in the same sentence, must be that it's a factor in his thinking. It's a factor in his emotions. So certainly, these are things we have to think about at all times. Hanukkah coming up quickly is, again, a very spiritual time, a time for reflection, a time for introspection. It's certainly a good time to rededicate ourselves to these concepts of working on our middos, learning Musar, and constantly realizing that on the highest echelons of my responsibility as a Jew is the development of my middos.